You're listening to Heaving Bosoms, the podcast where two best friends recap romance novels while putting the puzzle pieces together and sobbing in parking lots.
Stack ourselves with the crunchies out. Shout it from the rooftop, can you hear the sound? Yeah. Live your best life, love it out loud. Love it out loud.
Hey HBs! New Jersey has an election today, and so when you're hearing this, I've probably already voted in the gubernatorial race here in New Jersey. If you've got an election today, be sure to make your voice heard in that ballot box. We gotta get people out. Remember, local positions often impact our everyday lives even more than the national races. So yeah, go vote. We've got some excellent humans who've decided to support us on Patreon, so they deserve a shout out, don't you think? Welcome, you gorgeous, cozy sun goddess, Catherine K., Kira H., Milkberry, Kaylee M., Lori U., and Alexandra W. If you're interested in bonus content, early and ad-free episodes, and all the other benefits we offer, think about supporting us on Patreon or our Apple Podcast subscription. Okay, yesterday we were the meanest and left you on a cliffhanger in the middle of a sex scene. Diabolical, I know. But don't worry, we're jumping in as Sabrina shows us the anatomical cliffhanger Ali Hazelwood left the reader on in this final installment of Bride. Here we go.
And he's like, look, I'm an alpha and I have certain reactions as an alpha. And he's just talking out his ass, listener.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with being an alpha.
No,
Yeah.
It has to do with the fact that he's found his mate, so he knots like a freight train nowadays.
Yeah.
Like, he used to have a normal dick, and now he's got a giant ball at the bottom of it when he comes real hard.
Yeah, he knots like a sailor, I'll tell you that much. So when they're... What?
That's so stupid. Okay, listener,
knots like a freight train. What are you talking about?
But those don't relate at all, listener. If you don't know what knotting is, which if you've made it, if this is your first episode of Heaving Bosoms, and you were also, if you don't know what knotting is, listener, I need you to know it has nothing to do with ropes. It has nothing to do with ships. It has nothing to do with freight trains. What it is, in fact, is essentially the base of the penis swelling upon orgasm.
It knots like a cork.
But
what it does.
Yes, it does. It knots like a cork to keep all that good
all that seminal fluid up in there.
Yeah, we're gonna get you knocked up.
Yeah. So he's like, we're not compatible that way. I don't want to hurt you. And she keeps on being like, I mean, I'm very similar to humans' anatomy. If you've had sex with a human, then you're like, fine. And he's like, no. And finally he's like, do you want me to show you? And she's like, yeah. So they make out and she drinks from him again. He's like, you bite. And then he brings her hand down and she gives him a hand job. And he uses his fingers to get her off. And then all of a sudden he comes and then he takes her hand and he puts it down at the base of his cock.
To show her like, why they're not compatible?
Yeah. And it blows up like a balloon.
Well, but
and she's like,
we don't know this because fucking Ali Hazelwood made the insane decision to cliffhanger us, listener. We all know that this is a knot in his pants reading this book.
Oh my God, read it to us, because I guess I did the thing where I know the information I self-inserted instead of actually reading the text.
I told every single fucking person I messaged them, I was like, God, if I could experience nodding for the first time again,
oh my God,
I would want it to be in The Bride by Ali Hazelwood.
Oh
Okay,
my
hang
God,
on.
tell me everything. I'm so excited about this.
Okay, so they're making, I almost said making love and made melody gag.
Ugh.
But he says, he's like, we're not compatible like that, Misery. And she's like, but like Anna exists. And he's like, no, that's not, it's different between us.
And he says it's not because you're a vampire, it's because you're you.
Uh-huh. Because of what that does to me. And she's like, I don't understand. You said we would in Emery's office though. And he says,
Oh, this
I
fucker.
said I
Ooh, was
could
big mad.
fuck you, not that I would.
How dare you?
What? And she's like, are you sure though that we can't? And he's like, I can show you. So then they have a conversation where he's like, okay, have you ever done this before? Like, whatever. We learn that he learns. We already know that she's never done anything with anybody. He was her first kiss. And then
But we learn that the biggest reason is because she's a consent queen and it didn't feel right.
She says it felt weird doing this with a
Yeah.
human when I was already lying to them about everything. And listener, when would she have had the chance to do it with a vampire? She's
Never.
hasn't been around vamps since pre-puberty.
Yeah,
And,
and
like,
they've
in
only
what
been
war-
mean to her or her brother.
And so he tells her to feed more. And they're now laying on the bed on their sides. And she says,
Yeah.
it was so hot. She says, if I feed, we can't. With a hand on the back of my head, he guides my face into his neck. We can.
We can.
He kicks his jeans away and it's just his skin hot against mine. The rough hairs on his arms and legs subtly foreign. I slip my shin between his knees and let my hand roam, curious, eager to explore. He is gloriously different, and while I'm not one to admire beauty, I cannot stop thinking that I like him. The way he looks, the way he feels, the way he likes me.
Yeah.
You are so beautiful, he murmurs into my temple. I thought so since they gave me that first picture of you. You came walking down the aisle and I was
God.
afraid to look. I hadn't even smelled you yet and I already couldn't stop myself from staring. A stray notion crosses my mind, sweet and terrifying and utterly unlike me. I wish I was your mate.
Oh. But I don't say that out loud, though. I couldn't possibly.
No, she couldn't. So then they're touching, she's feeding, and she's,
My favorite, though,
giving...
I'm so sorry. I know we slowed down a lot on this, and I'm kind of being a dick about it.
No,
but
it's
my
fine.
favorite-
Tell us everything.
My favorite part of his not diatribe, but like monologue about their wedding is that he says that she looked so cold and he wanted to bundle her up. He wanted to get her a blanket. He wanted to get her out of there. She looked so lonely. And he just, it's like all the competing
protective
instincts about how
instincts.
to, and take care. It's like a nurturing instinct.
So then she's touching him. She stops feeding. And he's like, I'm going to come really fast. And she's like, you don't have to. And he's like, not much of a
That's
choice. And then she ends up like rubbing up against his thigh. Like he puts his thigh between her legs. She comes
that's what it is.
against his thigh. And
Yeah.
then she's kind of embarrassed about how like lewd and like wet and messy it sounds. And he is into it. And he ends up putting his hand on the back, like small of her back to cant her hips to grind better. And they're like, she's feeding. And then she ends up pulling back and she says, is this good? And he is just
beside himself.
In a different place experiencing this, having the time of his life. And then he ends up getting really hard. And then he ends up coming on her stomach and her hand. And it's like she's so into the sounds that he's making. And then she says so it's beautiful, I think. Not just the pleasure, but sharing it with someone else. Someone I care about and maybe love a little bit as much as I'm able. Because, listener, she doesn't think she's capable of love because she's never experienced it.
And she might not have a soul. It's another weird layer.
Yeah. Change. Unlike my orgasm, which bloomed and exploded and ebbed, his lasts, crests, And Lo shivers and pants and groans through it before he asks me, "You want to know?" I nod, still out of breath. His hand comes down to guide mine, lower on his cock until we reach the base. Shit. His cheeks are flushed, head tilted back. I don't immediately understand, not until his soft skin changes. Something inflates under my palm. Lo's hand closes around mine, pressing it there, circling the swelling protuberance like all he wants is for it to be enclosed, held within something. It grows larger, and Lo's stifled groans grow louder, and misery. He's saying my name like a prayer, like I'm the one thing standing between him and heaven on earth, and that's when I understand what he meant. Sexually, he and I might not be fully compatible. New chapter. Cutscene. Which we're reading this before this ever happened. We know what nodding is. We already know that this dude is going to have a fucking baseball at the base of his baseball bat. And then if you don't know that, you're like, inflating? Protuberance? What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, I didn't even notice that because I just put my knowledge in there.
Yep. This is such a good example of like reading this book. I was like, my God, what I wouldn't give to be able to just wipe my brain and have this be a 10 on the weird sex meter. You know, I just want to, can I just experience nodding for the first time again? I definitely can't. That's a litmus test question for strangers,
That's
you know?
so interesting. She does something similar in the next book, not with nodding, but with other things. And it's heart-wrenching for me in that book, but this is like, this would be a big giant mystery, right? And then now it makes a lot more sense because I don't know, I guess I assumed they had already talked about it when I got to the chapter where they actually get to it, because she says like, no, I want your, and he's like, you don't even know what it's called. That scene is real. Okay, so we gotta go. So we end up having dinner at Davenport's. It's a fuck off. It basically becomes very obvious that this dude is weirdly interested in their relationship, but not from like espionage reasons. No,
it's just because he's a skeevy old pervert. Yeah. And then they're trying to get information from him, like, what do you know about this Thomas person and stuff? And Davenport's just like, I don't know what you're talking about. Well, he's being a little bit evasive. He's also drunk. And so at one point he was like, yeah, I think my mom might have worked for him or worked with him. And Davenport's like, oh yeah, Jenna? And he's like, Maria. And he's getting more and more irritated about this. And then he's like, yeah, she talked about him a little bit. And Davenport goes, I bet. And they're like, And he goes, well, you know, I heard he got around, so. And that's when Lo puts down his fork and knife, gets up very calmly, and then grabs that governor by the neck and is like, you're going to tell me fucking everything. What's going on with that? And why did you kill him? Yeah. And he's like, no, I didn't. It's so funny because Lo's like, tell me everything you know because I can kill you faster than your men who just walked in the room can kill me. And you know it. Hot. Yeah. Hot. So we find out that he killed him actually because he thought he was talking to journalists about embezzlement. Yeah. While he's a governor. Like, shocker, you had a crooked government under Governor Davenport. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So they're monitoring his communications and all of that jazz now. But now they're going to meet Owen. And when they get there, Owen is there with Gabby. And she's like, oh my God, I'm going to have to watch this man that I'm very quickly realizing that I've fallen in love with. Yeah. Be with his mate, the woman I have to give him back to at the end of this. Reunite with her. Oh, it's terrible. And then during this entire experience, listener, she starts noticing that he doesn't leave her side. And he's like, Gabby, it's purely professional. She's like, hey, Alpha, how are things at home? And he's like, pretty good. Meanwhile, he's like rubbing her hand because he thinks she's cold. So he's like got her right by his side, rubbing her hand, doing all the things. And she's like, this is such a weird dynamic. I don't understand. Then she gets distracted because Owen tells her the purpose of this meeting.
and that is him telling her he's going to stage a coup on his dad to take his seat on the council, and he hopes that he has her support.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, the fuck?
He's like, yeah, it's time for vampy coup times.
Yeah. She's like, no, that's a suicide mission. What are you talking about? And it's mostly because she has this idea of him as this just like fuckboy, layabout, gossipy, non-serious person, right?
Well, and this is when she starts realizing that in the time that she's been gone and she's gone under massive change, he's also changed.
Yeah.
This is not the same dude that she knew as a kid.
Because she's like, I don't know that I can support your harebrained plan you came up with 2 hours ago. And he's like, 3 months. And I've got a lot of allies already. And father has no idea.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then when Lo asks Gabby a couple of other follow-up questions, she's like, oh, yeah, and I'm set to finish my master's this year because they're so apathetic about me. Nobody will talk to me at Vampire Compound.
And he's like, what's your degree in again?
Yeah, he's like, finance, right? And she's like, electrical engineering or something.
Yeah, something.
And that's when Misery is like, wait a second. Lo would know his mate's major.
So they end all of this stuff, okay?
Yeah.
And she starts noodling on some stuff in her brain. Okay. They're in the car, and then she's like telling him a little bit about like more of that. She's like, oh, we're driving past my old house. And he's like, oh, let's go see it. And she's like, you don't want to see it. And he's like, no, I definitely want to see it.
She's like, it's so architecturally boring. And he's like, yeah, but it's very misery interesting.
Yeah, exactly. And so they end up going there. And she's still trying to figure out what's going on. He walks in and he is hit by a brick wall in the face of misery scent. And he has to he makes a face and she's like, oh my God, I thought you were more used to my smell. And he's like, no, it's good. It's just,
It's like, it's so many layers.
I just need to take a second.
Yeah. And meanwhile, she's thinking to herself, like, there's something like right there, right at the front of her brain that she can't quite catch. And she's trying to put everything together. And then she goes, how well do you know Gabby? And he's like, not really that well. She's a little older than me. She grew up in a different huddle. And she's like, then how did she become the collateral? And he's like, she volunteered. She asked if she could do it. I wasn't going to send anybody. I was going to say no to the treaty. But she volunteered. She asked me if she could. And then she goes, so Gabby's not your mate? And he's like, what? No. And then he starts thinking, like, she watches him have the realization that, like, she thought he was taking her to a meeting with his mate. And he's like, oh my God, Misery, no, I would never do that
to you.
That's so fucked up.
And it's because he doesn't realize that she overheard a conversation.
Yeah.
Where it became clear. And he's like, no. So she's not my mate. But the person that we sent into their territory needed to be important. And the only family member is Anna. And I was not sending her.
No fucking way.
And so we made the argument that a mate is equally as important. And so we said that she was my mate so that she could go.
I actually really liked this part because one could argue that this move like lacks integrity, right? But I completely disagree. I think that if the vampires had done the same, it wouldn't have been the agreement anymore, right? But because Lo values each member of his pack so
Their
highly
family.
and so equally, yeah, it doesn't matter which pack member he sends.
Well, and it's one of those things where they understand, like, I don't think that the vampires could understand. Like, the only things vampire culture apparently care about is, especially
progeny.
because it's so hard to have, I was just going to say, wow, we were both pulling the word progeny out of places.
Check us out with our sexy brains.
Look at us. We passed the SAT. So they're talking about it, and then they start, like, it's bananas. And she's suddenly having these realizations. She's like, hey, Lo, what did I get a degree in?
Yes.
And then he spits it out immediately. He drops her degree and her minors and shit like that, and her her concentration or whatever. And she's like,
and then she just launches herself at him.
She does, because it's starting to click. It is starting
Yeah.
to click that he reacts to her the way she expects him to react to his mate. It's starting to click that he immediately knows her degree. He remembers all of these important things. He's protective of her. All of these things that he has previously, when they were on the rooftop, talking about what a mate is.
Yep.
Everything he describes, she's like, I fit that.
Well, and she's doing the thing that I had to do with the nodding, where she's like trying to figure out what he actually said and what she filled in with her own assumptions and like context clues and everything.
And what she's heard from other people in passing.
Yeah. Yeah. And so she launches herself at him. He's so overwhelmed because remember, he's surrounded by her scent at like so many different points of her
Listener,
life. She's lived there for 4 years.
This sex scene is so fucking hot because she's like,
is.
fuck me. And he's
Yeah.
like, I can't. And you know why? By the way, listen,
Yeah.
we still don't know that he has a knot. So like, if you don't know what a knot is, you're like, I still don't understand. Does he
There's
have
like that protuberance.
What's that protuberance on your penis?
Uh-huh. But she says, you're not going to hurt me. I know you won't. And he's like, I don't know that. And she's like, Lo, you would never.
And then
so he's like,
it turns
we
into,
can.
he spins her around against the wall, listener. And he's like, okay, we're doing this my way. And I'm in control. And
Doesn't he say something
ends up
like, I can't be, maybe this is at the end. At some point he says, I can't be anything other than where an alpha. And she's like, I wouldn't want you to be anything but you. I don't know. Sorry. Keep going.
that actually happens during the compatible talk with the not cliffhanger, because he talks to her and he's like, I didn't change them. And she's like, change what? And he's like, the sheets. They smelled like you. Oh, sorry. And he's like, the scent was so sweet. I got myself off to the filthiest fantasies misery. And then the smell faded. Not the fantasies, though. He descends over me as heat and iron blanket. I can't be anything but what I am about this. What you are? Where?
Mm-hmm.
His hand wraps around my rib cage, but halts right underneath my breast. A silent reminder that we can always stop. Alpha.
Yeah.
And then she lets him bite her nape in that sex scene. He doesn't mark her, but he like chomps on her
all
neck
up in there
and gets a little primal about it.
Yeah.
Anyways, that happened during the other scene.
Okay, yeah. But he turns her around and he's got her by the nape again, all right? And by the hips.
Well, and he's trying to be so aware of what's doing. So what happens is he ends up penetrating her because she's I need you to fuck me.
Yeah. But he doesn't penetrate her yet because when she's talking him into it, remember? She's like, yeah, you're not going to hurt me with your, and then she pauses and he's like, you don't even know what it's called. And she's like, okay, tell me what it's called. And he says, it's a nart.
It's a nart misery. Say it. And then she says, nart. And then he says, say it again.
Yeah.
Nart.
Okay, all of that is real, but she says not.
Yes.
And he finds it incredibly hot.
And then she's like, but I need you to fuck me. I need to have your dick in me. And he's like, okay, well, we have to slow down. Like, I have to take care of this kind of thing.
And you need to tell me when you come because it's gonna push me over the edge and I need to make sure I pull out.
So he is fucking her and she's like, so what even is the knot for? And he's like, well, it's to keep your cum inside of your partner for procreative purposes. And then this is another thing where she's like, why would your biology do that for somebody who's not your perfect mate? But she doesn't say any of that out loud.
Nope, she just comes real hard.
And then there's just like so much like orgasms for her with his teeth on her neck.
And I love this because he keeps slowing down. He keeps on like fucking her and she'll come and then he'll slow down. And at one point he has to completely remove himself. But she's so empty at that point. And so he puts 2 fingers back inside her, just like while he calms down.
Listener, I need you to understand.
It's so
this
hot.
scene is so
It's
fucking,
like stupid
the
hot.
sex in this book is so good.
Like, how dare.
So they end up coming. He comes like on her back, and then she's processing this, and specifically the fact that he has stated he's never nodded before, but this is what she does to him. And she says the quiet part out loud and says, "Hey, Lo, the wear's always not." And he's like, "Well, no, it's complicated." And she's like, "Actually, Lo, I think it might be pretty simple."
And he's like, "Nope."
And looks at him and he's like, "It's not." And she's like, "I think it is. I think it's a sign that there's a deeper connection." And he's like, "Okay, well, yeah, it is because of a strong bond." And
he's trying
to
change the subject. He's like, "I should go get you a washcloth and clean you up." And she's like, no, we're going to come back to this.
Well, and he's like, "It's usually a sign of a strong bond between people." And she's like mates. It's like a strong bond, like mates. And he's like, "No." And then she says, she looks him dead in his wolfy, not sparkly pink face. And she says, "It's because I'm your mate.
I'm your mate.
That's why." And he looks at her.
Oh my God. He has such a okay, I need to tell you where I was and what I was doing. All right. So she can see the conflict in him and she can't figure out like what's happening. She thinks it's because he's worried it's going to scare her away. And she is very quick to reassure him that like she's feeling the same way. It doesn't scare her or anything.
It happens between mates. Oh, you're telling us about what was happening to you. Sorry. I was about to launch into the quote.
No. Do that and then just don't get to the part where he says anything and then I'll cut in. No,
you say your thing, cuz I just want to cruise through and break my heart all over again. It's fine.
Okay, yeah. So right out so picture it. I go through the CVS drive-thru for my prescriptions. And then he like starts, I can feel the tension, right? The audiobook is so good, but I can feel the tension happening. And I was supposed to go straight home. Meanwhile, I knew that it was probably not for the best that I be on the road when whatever the fuck was coming came. And so I pulled into the parking lot and I just sat looking at a beige wall while all of this was happening to me and then just crying. Sitting in my driver's seat, looking at a beige stucco wall and crying.
Melody, I can picture this so vividly. And not only can I picture it so vividly, 10,000% I am sitting here right now. You made yourself a main character in a scene. There is like dramatic music as the book fades into the background and it's just you staring at this beige wall and tears start like falling down your face and you're just motionless, staring
completely motionless, just staring straight ahead.
Yeah, you were seeing a beige wall. You were seeing the death of the universe.
Yes.
Because it happens between mates,
the meanest
right?
Things
nodding. I mean, biologically, it makes sense in so many ways. Honestly, nothing else does.
Yeah.
It's me, isn't it? I attempt a wobbly smile. It's okay. I know it. I feel it too. I'm your mate. That's why. Misery. He's not looking at me, but at some spot around my feet. And his tone is like I've never heard it before.
Yeah.
Unreadable. Empty. That's why, right? He's silent for heavy seconds. Misery. My name, again, but this time there's a world of hurt behind the word, like I'm torturing him. I feel the same way you do, I add quickly, not wanting him to think that I'm accusing him of something beyond his control. Or maybe not. Maybe I don't have the hardware. Maybe only another wearer could feel the same, but I really do like you. More than that, I haven't quite figured it all out because I don't have much experience with feelings, but maybe you think this frightens the shit out of me and... My voice weakens because Lo has lifted his gaze and I can see the way he's looking at me. He understands, I think. He knows. He feels exactly the way I do. But then his expression shudders and his tone can only be described as compassionate.
Oh, so
I'm sorry if
mean.
I've ever given you the wrong impression about what is happening between us.
Oh.
Lo, come on. I know Gabby isn't your mate. She isn't. He presses his lips together, but I'm afraid you've reached the wrong conclusions. Lo, I'm sorry, Misery. Lo, it's fine. We should stop discussing this now. And she's like, no, I know I'm right. I know I am. It's the only thing that you said, that a mate grabs you by the stomach and Misery. He speaks harshly this time, like he's scolding a child. You should stop filling your mouth with words you cannot understand.
Oh.
It was a mistake telling you about the concept of mates. His voice is detached, like he's reading from a script and sucking every emotion out of his performance. It's not something any non-were can fully comprehend, let alone a vampire. But I understand how appealing it might be for someone who struggles with belonging. What? Misery, he sighs again. You have been abandoned and mistreated your entire life by your family, by your people, by your only friend. You are fascinated with the idea of eternal love and companionship, but that just doesn't reflect what I feel for you. And she's like, no, you're just trying to push me away. That you, like, tell me that you're not in love with me, I challenge. That
say
you
it to my
don't
face.
want to be with me. He doesn't miss a beat. I'm sorry, he says, dispassionate with a hint of condescension, some pity, sorrow. I think you're very attractive, and I enjoy spending time with you. I enjoyed, his voice almost breaks. I enjoyed fucking you, and I wish you the best, but...
Oh my God.
And then he just shakes his head, and then he says, I see that this was a mistake, but it's for the best. You don't want to be tied to someone like me. You should be free. And from now on, you and I should probably be apart.
Apart? And he's like, yeah, I can move you out of my house somewhere else.
Yeah.
And then he gets a phone call.
No,
Oh,
even
Yeah,
worse.
sorry.
He says,
Tell him.
you're getting the wrong ideas, and I frankly don't want you to. And then he gets cut off because of Bring Bring.
Y'all, this was one of the meanest breakups I've ever read in my fucking life. He really goes for the emotional jugular.
Gaslighter. Denier.
Yeah.
Fuck you, dude.
The fact that he basically says, I mean, the idea of like unconditional love is so appealing for someone like you.
Just like pats her on the head.
Fucking
oh my God. I was
cast
so
off.
Fucking angry.
So
and like, I understand. I know I've read some really cool articles recently about like, part of what sucks about fiction nowadays is like, you don't have to be able to put yourself in their shoes. The minute you start self-inserting, like, that's no longer like, you don't have to be a part of the protagonist. And this is one of those moments where I was like, you're right, because I'm loving the shit out of this book, but I could never. There's no coming back from this. You gaslight me about this. You lie to me to my face about this. I can never, ever forgive you for it. Well, especially because he took all of these things that she told him in confidence. She was vulnerable with him. And now he's weaponizing it against her in order to be like, you were just a nice, tight pussy to stick my dick in.
Yes.
I think you're hot. I've had fun
enjoyed
with
fucking you.
Oh boy. You don't need to worry about fitting anywhere anymore, Lo, because I'm going to cut your dick off.
I mean, honestly.
It's hard to not when you don't have a baseball bat anymore attached to your groin.
The one thing I will say is that I was really happy that she specifically confronts him on that. On the fact that he took all of her deepest insecurities and worries and trauma and weaponized it against her. She does.
Oh, absolutely.
So I really enjoyed that. But this was fucking brutal.
I can see how they ended up back together, but this is a moment where I was like, yep, fiction is fiction.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It takes all kinds.
Yeah. And so she basically is like, you can see yourself out. And he's like, yeah, I'll send somebody to come get you. And she's like, I know how to get back to the... And he's like, no, it's dangerous, Misery. And I said, honestly, I'm so sorry. The other thing I wanted to say is the only thing the only true thing he said in that entire breakup is you should be free.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, that's the whole reason that he doesn't want to be with her.
Yeah, his whole thing is like, I cannot be the albatross around your neck. I cannot be what keeps you caged. I refuse to be her cage. And she is just a sweet enough, caring enough, wonderful enough woman that if she finds out that she's my mate and I only get one, she'll stay with me. Even if she doesn't want to, because she doesn't want me to hurt. She has done nothing her whole life but be selfless and do all of these things for everybody else. That's how she was raised. It's how she was brainwashed.
That's how she's been taught to function. That's how she views her worth. That's how people have told her worth.
Well, because that's her dad multiple times in this book. Her douchebag father the whole time has been like, this is for the good of all.
Yeah. Yeah, the good of the most instead of the good of one.
The good of the most outweighs the good of the one. Like, this is better for all vampire
as
kind.
long as it applies to anybody but him. And one of the early on, the other reason this totally broke my heart is that around the antique shop part of the book, one of the chapter beginnings is him thinking to himself, I think I can make this work. She just doesn't ever have to know. And yet I can be with her. Like, I think I can make this work. And he thinks, like, as long as she never comes to the conclusion that she is my mate,
I'll take
then I can have
scrap.
a long-term relationship with her. That's fine. But I'd never want her to feel like she's trapped because she doesn't want to hurt my feelings. So, yeah, that's the only true thing he said out loud is you should be free. And I was sobbing in a parking lot.
Hey, Melody.
Yeah.
So I don't know that any regular Heaving Bosoms listener would be shocked by this.
Uh-huh.
Did you see what was coming next? Because I felt blindsided by a Mack truck or a Mick truck, as the case may be.
I couldn't decide whether it was going to be Mick or Juno, but I thought it was going to be someone on the inside. And I was really shifty about Juno, like, apologizing and stuff, you know?
I never once thought it was going to be Mick because, listener, we end up zippy-zapping into Mick's car. And she's just devastated. And so she's just making small talk. And she's like, hey, Mick, so, like, have you talked to Anna recently? Like, do you know how she's doing? What's going on?
And he says no, but it's probably for the best.
And then she's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, because of this. And then he injects her with a syringe.
He sedates her. Okay, and then we zippy zap again, all right? And she wakes up in a fucking closed off attic with Sabrina.
And then they have Serena, the funniest best friend like trauma chat, and when I say trauma chat, I mean like both of them are like, so like, all right, this is the shitty situation that we're in. I guess that we go from here. What do we do next? Well, I was thinking about escape, you know? And like, it's just this, it was so fucking funny. And so they come up with a plan. They're like, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to get one of the people up here.
The guards,
get close enough. And Serena's like, you should
This is all Serena's plan. It's so good.
You thrall them. And she's like, that's not going to work, Serena.
I can't thrall people if I'm not touching them.
Uh-huh. And they try, and
Serena's
does,
like, make it work.
Fail. They are so fucking funny.
They're cute.
I loved watching them interact in this scene because it really was just two hot dummies trying to figure out how to get out of a locked room, you know?
Yeah. And so she tries to thrall him, fails, and then the werewolf reaches in through that little door to like strangle her or whatever. And this is when Misery is reminded of what a badass her best friend is. Because she does some self-defense moves on just that disembodied arm.
She like grabs that arm, yanks him against the door.
Yeah, and then she starts breaking his fingers until he opens the door. And she's like, I'll do that to every single one of your fingers if you don't open that fucking door. So they get out and they manage to get all the way like down these stairs. They don't know where they are. They open this door and Misery is like, okay, I was right about it being an attic, but it's not 3 or 4 floors up.
This is not human territory. This is not were territory.
This is a skyrise.
This is the nest. I recognize the nest.
Yeah. And Serena's like, wait a second. I wasn't wrong that the guy was a werewolf, right? And she's like, no, he was definitely a werewolf. And so they're so confused about why werewolves and vampires would be colluding like this. And then they're just like, that's a mystery for another time. We got to get the fuck out of here. And they like hold hands and they're running down the stairs. And then a very familiar voice says,
Vanya.
Misery, you're coming with me one more time, Vanya says. That's fucking ominous.
So
meanwhile, she's holding 2 knives in her hands.
Yep. And so they end up getting brought into her father's office.
Good God.
And
this fucker. I was so mad.
It was all of the signs.
And not only is it him, but Mick is standing right at his side as if he's one of his sentries.
Yep.
And he makes eye contact with Misery and then like looks down. And the dad waits for Misery to speak. He's doing like this power move thing. And so she's like, fuck that and fuck you. But she looks at Mick and she says, why? And he won't say anything.
Turns out her dad, the conniving bastard that he is, turns out Davenport doesn't know anything that's been going on because he has essentially been under her father's thrall the entirety of his governorship. And so he's been doing her dad's dirty work because all her dad gives a shit about is keeping vampires safe. But it's his definition of safe.
Keeping himself in power. But he tells himself
Yes.
it's keeping vampires safe.
Yes,
That's how he justifies it to himself.
He lives in Delulu land. Like, it's fine. He gets what's coming to him, listener. So she asked Mick, it turns out when he found out the vampires took Mick's family years ago, he ended up realizing, oh, this child is important to one of the higher ups in the wares. I'm going to hold on to this.
Kills the mom, keeps the son.
Yep.
And then blackmails Mick into doing what he wants by like hurting his son if he doesn't.
Well, because he's upset that Roscoe is no longer in charge because this is a brand new were who's taken over who wants to have good feelings with everybody.
Yeah.
He's like, we don't want those kinds of alliances. It needs to be humans and vampires against werewolves because if it's humans and werewolves against vampires, we're toast.
Yeah.
And it's like he literally cannot see a world where there is not somebody who gets eradicated.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want it to be vampires. And it's like, hey, old man, you shouldn't be in power anymore.
No. Yeah.
There's a new generation.
We should have a better imagination about what is possible. And he keeps on looking at Misery and telling her what a fucking disappointment she continues to be. And then he starts telling Serena, like, wow, I wish your political know-how had rubbed off on my fucking demented daughter or whatever. Oh, it's so terrible.
And then it comes out, they know all about Anna. They know all about the little half human, half werewolf hybrid because they've known for the last 25 years that one exists. And this is when we find out that Serena is a were-human hybrid.
She wasn't just an emotional support human. She was put there by Misery's dad in order to keep tabs on her.
Well, now I have a question for you, Mel. Do we learn? I assumed that he killed her parents so that she was an orphan. So that she had no choice but to, that's not what happened. It was just happy happenstance that he was able to pluck her out of an orphanage and make her his child's plaything.
Kinda, yeah.
Okay.
Somebody just brings him the information.
And so he just holds on to it, but it doesn't seem to be anything. She has no idea that she's a were-human hybrid.
Yeah.
She doesn't know anything. And then it turns out, listener, we're going to pick up those little breadcrumbs. Turns out Serena started figuring it out, and that's why she was disappearing. She had this overwhelming urge to just be in the forest and away during moon times. And so you remember how she was disappearing for a couple of days over the last couple of months? It's because she was not shifting, but she was giving into wolfy instincts. She had to be outside. She had to be in the wilderness.
And she's been having her blood genetically tested. It's always coming back as if it's contaminated. At one point, she like cut herself to see if her blood had all of a sudden turned green. She's so confused about all of this, but eventually figures out that, like, yeah, she's a hybrid, but almost like she doesn't really find out basically until she's kidnapped 3 months ago and is, like, sequestered by the dad.
Well, because the dad's like, well, why wouldn't I keep this human hybrid now that she's under my care? I'll just keep her. We can learn about her. We'll learn more about everything. She'll be a little science experiment. Like, it would be foolish of me and disingenuous to the study of knowledge to get rid of this woman.
Well, and like the first goal was just to get her out of public because he doesn't want Wares and Humans to figure out the possibility. And then after that, he was like, I could kill her, or I could just like keep her and, draw blood and figure shit out.
Pet hybrid,
Yeah, yeah.
So then the door opens, and basically he was fully sacrificing Misery. He fully thought, isn't that a thing? Where he fully thought that she was going to go into this marriage and it was only going to be like, he expected her to die.
No. Nope.
No?
Lo walks in. Lo walks in and he goes, oh, wow, counselor, you had a plan the whole time. And the counselor was like, not the whole time, but yeah, I made it work. So basically they did this alliance and he sent Misery in.
Okay.
And then he looks at Misery and he goes, and your usefulness has no bounds, Misery. Because he's been trying to get leverage on Lo so that he can, have more control over all of the relations and stop the human-Ware alliance. And so the first thing he wanted to do was kidnap Anna. And Mick was helping him with that and then telling the Wares that it's probably Emery who's behind it. And, oh man, when she yells at Mick, she's like, you should have told Lo. And he's like, Lo couldn't have. And she's like, he is your alpha. You have known him since he was a child, and still you don't understand him at all. He would do anything if a pack member was in danger. Doesn't matter the pack member. But anyway, so first he was going to kidnap Anna. And then the dad thought to himself, oh man, Misery keeps on being like, but then why would you poison Anna? And the dad's like, oh, sweet Misery.
It wasn't Anna.
You think I was trying to kill Anna? No.
And that's what I was thinking of, because he was fully like, I'm sacrificing my daughter.
Oh, yeah. Because Mick told him about what the mate bond is. And he thought if Misery dies, then Lo will either be distracted enough for me to do my machinations to completion, or he'll die because he's so fucking heartbroken. So yeah, Mick was trying to poison Misery and mixed up the doses or something like that. I kind of wonder if that was an accidental on purpose. Yeah, kind of a situation.
Well, because her dad thralled Mick for some of this. That's how he's getting all of the information. Yeah. Is he's like, hey, Mick. And then when Mick realizes that not only does her dad have his son, he also has all of this information that he has given to the father at this point, not by his choice, but it doesn't change the fact that he's done it. So he's already betrayed his people. And why would his people help him after he has betrayed them?
Yeah.
It's so convoluted. It's dad
rough.
is such a bastard.
Absolutely. And so then he's like, all right, Lo, here we go. I'm going to need your sister. I know that you sent her away and I haven't been able to find her. I'm going to need your sister and I need you to make those arrangements right now. And Lo is like, why would I do that? And he's like, well, because I have your mate. And she is like, ha. First of all, she's thinking, maybe this will make my heartbreak worth it. It's just seeing the disappointment in my dad's face. And so she's like, not only am I not his mate, but he would put nobody in front of Anna. There's no fucking way. So you lose twice. And the dad is
she's like, tell him, Lo.
Yeah,
tell him. And Lo can't. Because she's his mate. And now she's like, oh my God.
Now the dad has her at knife point at her throat. And he's like, I'll kill your mate if you don't give me your sister. And he's like, again, why would I do that? And he says, because your mate is going to ask. And then Lo says, oh, you obviously don't know my mate at all. And so then Sabrina cuts in with their like secret language, because that's been the through line. A couple of the clues have been written in their secret language, etc.
Yeah.
And she basically says, your dad is wrong. And she speaks back and she's like, about what? And she says, I can shift. And so then she says, okay, Dad. And this was one of my, I only say this because this is one of my favorite parts. Because she says, all right, Dad, since I'm obviously not going to be alive for very long, can I have a few last words with my mate? And he's like, I guess, like, I'm so magnanimous. And so, yeah, she says, Lo, you were the best thing that's ever happened to me. And I'm so sad that we don't have more time. And then she says, since I'm not going to have any more time with Anna, I need you to tell her something for me. The first one is, she's just as annoying as that cat I hate. And the second thing is that, it's so cute. And the second thing is that, you know, that thing she can't do? Tell her not to worry about it because she'll grow into it by the time she's 25 or so.
And then it clicks.
Lo looks at Serena and then Lo says, now.
Wolf out, baby!
And Owen steps forward like a bolt of lightning, undoes his cuffs, and then all of a sudden, everybody's being massacred by a wolf. They're both white wolves, which I loved.
I did too.
Serena's like a creamy kind of wolf. She's got like a little spotty situation.
Shows the purple vampire blood real well.
Ooh, indeed. Yeah.
So they end up having fighty time. She ends up finding out, like, she ends up talking to Owen and getting all of the download, basically. Owen's like, yeah, no, I didn't capture your mate. I called him because we figured out who the person was.
Well, we got
the video.
The footage. Yeah.
And then when your mate came, he looked at the thing, recognized him immediately, and the first thing he was concerned about was, oh my God, that's Mick. Misery is with Mick.
I just sent Mick to get Misery. And he says, I thought your guy was like kind of cool and stuff, but like he's terrifying.
He's scary.
That was wild. And she's like, yeah, I'm sure he was upset. He's known Mick since he was a child. And he's like, no.
Oh,
no, not about Mick, about your safety. And she is still in this sort of purgatory in her own mind, being like, what the fuck is real? You know,
Fair.
She watched her brother walk in and she was like, oh my God, is my brother betraying my father or is he betraying me? And then she's told she's not his mate, but then maybe he is her mate. And then like she's got such a clusterfuck happening in her mind that she's still like, maybe no, though. Like there's a really good chance Lo doesn't care about me at all. And like, I'm going to be evicted from Ware territory and I'm going to have to deal with it, you know?
Yep. And so she ends up being brought in to see her father. Lo is there. Her father is basically all of his senses deprived. And then they pull everything off and get the final details from him about his thing. And Owen's like, well, sucks to suck, Dad, but we'll take it from here.
I'm going to undo everything you've been working for. And then he says, and once I have helped solidify treaties between all three factions and there's peace in this region again, I'm going to take your ashes and I'm going to spread them on the borders where people cross the most so they can step all over you without even knowing it.
In peace.
Yeah. Ooh, it's great. And then he says, Misery, do you have anything you want to say to this fuckface? And she thinks about it. She opens her mouth. And then she closes it again and she goes, nah.
No.
Because that's probably what's going to hurt him the most.
Yeah. And then Lo's like, what do you want us to do with him? And she's like, I don't know. I don't care. You do whatever it is. And I don't ever want to know.
Yeah.
Don't tell. Nobody tell me. I just want to live my life and pretend that he didn't ruin it.
Yeah, so she and Serena end up, because like the next 3 days are crazy. Lo has to be pack alpha 24/7 to like get shit safe again.
Yep.
She and Serena end up reconnecting and Serena tells her why she kept everything a secret. And like the biggest reason is because Serena refuses to depend on anyone no matter what. She feels like she's a burden to everyone, which she says in this book almost, but makes it very clear in the next book. And she says also, y'all hate werewolves. And Misery is like, what? What? I'm so
No,
offended.
we don't.
No, we don't.
And like, I loved this discussion of essentially microaggressions. You don't even know that you're doing it, but like all of the jokes that you crack, all of those things point to a deep-seated hatred of half of my kind. Like, I don't.
It didn't feel safe, really. But especially since she didn't know for sure. She just felt like she was going a little bit crazy. And she found out she could shift in that attic room because there was one blind spot and she had nothing to do. So she just, figured out her body. And then she's like, I wonder if the werewolves would mind if I like got to know them a little bit. And Misery's like, that sounds like an excellent reason to need to go into were territory. Sounds
and
good.
See what the fuck is going on, because I haven't heard from Lo since this happened.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
Jesus.
So they go into were territory. She ends up dropping Sabrina
off with Juno.
Somebody, and like, go have fun, you know, don't lift your leg on things you shouldn't. And they're both like, fuck
call
you.
me when you're done sniffing each other's buttholes or whatever.
And
so
then
funny.
she goes to Lo's home and he's not there. And so she walks up to her bedroom and all of her stuff is in boxes.
And she's like, oh, I don't live here anymore. He doesn't want me.
I don't belong anywhere. And then he shows
anywhere.
up behind her and he's like, Misery. And she's like, hey.
And she can tell that he's really excited to see her, but he's also a little bit cautious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he's like, what are you doing here? And she's like, I came to bring Sabrina to see some more werewolfies.
Yeah. And I hope I'm not trespassing.
He's like,
and he goes,
no,
what?
This is your home.
Like, he says, what are you talking about? You live here. And my first reaction, and I was like, Ali Hazelwood, how dare you call me out to my fucking face? My first reaction was, do I though? And she thinks to herself, I want to say, do I though? But I don't, but I don't want to sound insecure and passive aggressive. Ma'am, how dare you talk to me like that?
I didn't come into this looking for a mirror.
Yeah.
Ms. Hazelwood.
Jesus.
Fuck? Okay.
How dare
and she's
you?
like, well, all of my stuff is in boxes though. And he's like, well, yeah, I'm getting the windows replaced. I talked to your brother.
As if she would just assume that. Lo, you fuck. Like, what?
Yeah, he's acting like all of this is like she just missed a fucking gigantic blazing neon yellow sign in the front hallway that explained all of this in detail. Yeah. Signed, oh, Lo, I love you.
Yeah,
please stay with me forever. Yeah, like what? Fuck
XOXO Lo.
And then
shut up.
She does though. She pulls him up to.
Oh, I'm sorry. I cut Sabrina off because I'm a dick nose, but. The reason is he's replacing all the windows with like the highfalutin fancy windows that like filter the sun so that she can actually walk in the room during the day and like look outside and stuff.
And like sleep in a bed instead of a closet and like all of these things. And she's like, but that's so expensive. And he's like, okay. It's to make it your home. You shouldn't have to sleep in a closet. Like,
and so finally she's like, Lo, am I your mate? And he is kind of sheepish about it again. I think he confirms for sure that she is, right?
Yes, because he's like, yes, you are. It was a struggle initially, like full disclosure. I felt trapped. I was blindsided. And then I got to know you. I was so angry that I was stuck with a vampire.
Yeah, he's like, fate gave me a mate and I actually found her and it turns out she's somebody I can never fully love. But then I got to know you.
Mm-hmm. And then he's like, but I didn't ever want to trap you. I didn't want to bind you to me. And this hot lady goes, what if I want to bind you to myself to you? What if my love for you already binds me to you? What the fuck, Lo? You're not the only one who has agency in this
Right.
relationship. You completely took all of my options away. And specifically, you took them away by lying to me and then taking my vulnerable history that I shared with you.
Oh my
and
God.
weaponizing it. What the
This was my
fuck,
favorite
dude?
part about this section, because she like hesitates and he says, well, it's not like you to not say exactly what you think out loud. And she goes, yeah, it was a lot easier to be honest with you when I thought you were being honest with me. And he said, and then he goes, I know. And then he goes,
I literally read that and a lot
Gut
of things
punch.
clicked. I was like,
yeah.
oh
Yeah.
my God.
And then he says, well, you can say anything you want to me, of course. And she goes, can I? Or are you going to take my deepest insecurities and vulnerabilities and history and use it against me when you want to push me away? And he's like, "Gah." Like he looks really sheepish at that point. And she's like, fuck this. All right, fuck this. I am going to live here because my best friend is one of you and she needs to be around. And like, I am going to hang out because I wouldn't mind being like the blood-sucking weirdo of this pack.
They can't go out in the sun.
Yeah, because like, honestly, for the first time in my life, some people have actually been kind of nice to me. And like, yeah, I'm going to be here and I'm going to do this. So there. And he's like, yeah. And then they're together forever.
He knots her.
Oh, and then he
It
does
goes
big
just
sex on
fine.
her.
It's fine.
Yeah. She's like, I want your knot.
It is. Oh my God.
And I love this. I love this though, because she says, I want your knot. And he's like, but what if I hurt you? And she says, then you hurt me a little bit and we talk about it and we work through it. And it's just like any other sexual situation.
Lo, it's almost like communication is the foundation of a good relationship. And sometimes you try something and it doesn't work, you fucknut.
Right.
Oh,
and
God.
she says, I think you want it and I think you need it. And she goes, and honestly, like when I think about it, it sounds, and he goes, horrifying. And she goes, no, kind of sexy.
It makes me kind of hot. And he's like, oh, it's on TM.
Yes, it is on
Let's
TM.
go. And then they have naughty. I'm so sorry, listener. Melody and I have been doing something terrible to you.
You're right.
They have narty sex.
That's the one. They nart all over the place.
They get nartin'.
He narts her right up.
He narts her right up. And it's so
oh my
funny.
God. And he says, I'm going to pop a nart in your tight pussy.
Pop a nart in your tight pussy. And then it's so funny because when it happens, they're just like laying there. And she's like, so like, how long does this last? And he's like, probably like half an hour or so. And then they finish and she's like, okay, so we'll have to schedule sex, actually. This isn't something we can just do.
We have to hang out
on a whim. This is like, we have to devote 3 hours of our lives. And she's like, so like maybe like once or twice a week. And he's like, oh, no. 2 hours of every day.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, love it when my man narts me.
Yeah. Papa Nart is so funny.
Papa Nart.
Yeah,
that's it.
And that's it.
Poppin'
so
a
they're
nart.
together forever.
That's it. Hey, listener, just a heads up so you can plan. Next year's Embrace, Pop a Nart. Poppin' a Nart is going to be one of the Embrace categories for
Is that
sure.
your lady love, Sabrina?
It's not, but I do love it could be. Poppin' a Nart. So yeah, they're together forever and it's super cute. And then we do get the slate opening to the
we get a
next
setup
book.
for book 2.
Because Serena's in the house. They're going to have like family dinner style shit. And then Cohen walks in and hits the floor. And he's like, oh, fuck.
I'm fucked.
And Lo looks at him, sees the way he's looking at Serena. And in his head goes, yeah, you are. Actually.
End book. So, Sabrina, what is your lady love?
Oh my God. My lady love is, I have a friend staying with me right now and he cooked dinner last night. He made a Thai yellow curry and instead of putting potatoes, he put summer, like yellow squash
Ooh, yum.
in it. And like potatoes and curry are fine, but I'm not a huge fan of like potato texture with rice, you know? And like, I like it to an extent. There's a lot of Persian dishes that's a thing. So like, I'm used to it. But what
What a
a
lovely surprise.
fucking game changer. Yellow squash. So my lady love is, my God, put a yellow squash in your curry.
Love it.
That's it. It was delicious. It was a game changer. And I ate so much last night.
I love
I was literally in pain for hours. It was delightful.
So good.
What's your lady love, Melody?
My lady love is giant velvet scrunchies. Okay?
Oh.
I'm currently wearing
full his like glam.
Yeah, I'm currently wearing a giant velvet scrunchie that I got for Valor after the No Kings protest because very conveniently, right down the street was also a craft fair. So we got our protesting on and then we got some hair accessories.
That honestly sounds like such a dream. What a dream.
It was very suburban Jersey. Yeah, so I'm wearing it right now and I've like never felt more fancy, but also like my hair is not bothering me at all.
Casual,
you know what I mean?
Comfy, cozy.
Yeah, but it's just like it just elevates it so much, and it looks so like lush.
Elevates it.
It does. It also makes like my ponytail actually look thicker too, because of the way that it like lays on the giant velvet scrunchie. You know, I didn't know I needed it in my life. Maybe you don't.
I don't.
Look for your giant velvet scrunchie, HBs.
I love the idea of just having a little knot on the top of my head, like those pigtails that children have, you know, except it'll just be a little knot on the back of my head. And it's just the most gigantic scrunchie, and then a little bit of my hair, because I just cut it all off. Yeah.
Teensy tinesies. Yeah.
All right.
All right, everybody. Keep being a badass.
Love yourself as much as you love popping a nart.
Yeah.
That's really the only option here.
That's the only option.
Popping a nart.
Bye. Thank you for listening. Next week, we'll be back with a sapphic alien romp called Enchanting Her Mate by Ivy Knox. Heaving Bosoms is produced by us, Melody Carlisle and Sabrina Bradley. Editing is done by me, Melody Carlisle. Our theme music is by the incredible singer-songwriter Brittany Fonts, and our art is by the ultra-talented author Kate Pryor. If you like our show, remember to follow us on your favorite podcast app, rate us 5 stars, and leave a review. That one small action is a huge way to help the show. If you want to get in touch with us for advertising inquiries or anything else, you can email us at heavingbosomspodcast@gmail.com. If you want more of us, visit patreon.com/heavingbosomspodcast. You can also find us on Instagram at Heaving Bosoms, on TikTok at Heaving_Bosoms, and in our Facebook group, the Heaving Bosoms Geriatric Friendship Cult. See you next week.